Okay, so this is going to be another quick crash course. Going over some of the basic info you need to know to look at the dot cat, to understand the belief system of the cult, the Western cult that I've been researching, tracking, trying to expose. I'm going to make this as quick as possible. This is going to get into something to do with the physics of light, basically. The physics of light, how light and color work. We're just going to touch on a few things. And it's also going to explain a little bit about the mirrored veil. You might have heard me make a reference to that once or twice in some previous videos. I have a picture example. I might get up, run, and grab my phone for a minute, although it'll take me forever to look through. No. Real quick. We'll use this. What color is this? For those of you who said red, you're wrong. And this is something that sort of points to, and a lot of visual artists who really start walking down the path of trying to understand how it is they see what they see. Not all of us get here, but some of us do. We'll start considering, start studying maybe the physics of light, how it works, and our eyes, the anatomy of human eye, how that works, how it is, how do these things interact so that we perceive what we perceive. Once you start understanding how color and light work, it does start to suggest that there is some other realm, world, somewhere, someplace that we can't see. So that's where we get these ideas, like from Stranger Things, of like, what was it called? The Nether or something, I don't know. There's lots of stories, movies, books, all sorts of things out there that have this represented, this idea of an alternate opposite dimension. So this is not red. This is actually every other color except red. Whoop. That's how slick I am. I have another red thing. I'm gonna grab it. Because that doesn't have a logo. This doesn't have a logo. That has a logo. I'm trying to avoid showing logos. This is just a little like dollar store LED light. This is actually every other color except red. The reason you're perceiving it as being red is because this object is actually rejecting that light wavelength. So if you study anything about light, you understand that colors, it comes in wavelengths, and depending on the wavelength, it will tell you, it will translate into a specific color when you perceive it with your eyes. So the specific light wavelength that is this color, this specific shade of red, is being rejected by this object. It's being rejected and deflected back out at your eyes. That's why you perceive it as being red. But it's actually not red, because that's the one color that it's refusing to absorb. It might be more accurate to say that this object is actually the color of every other light wavelength that it chooses to absorb. Which means its true color would be seen on the other side, like some other place. You understand? So, now, here's a tricky part. Please pay attention. Some of you might, when trying to now figure out what this looks like on the other side of the veil in some other opposite dimension, might start combining colors in your mind. Oh, every other color but red. Well, and think back to when you have been mixing paints. And what happens when you mix the whole palette of colors together? You get some icky, grayish mud color. That is not what the other side would look like. Because we are not mixing paint colors. We're mixing light wavelengths. I'm going to keep drawing this if I keep playing with it. We're mixing light wavelengths, not paint colors. So if you're trying to determine what color this thing is on the other side, you want to keep that in mind. It's not a grayish, muddy color. All the light wavelengths, when you combine them, create white light. That's what a color is. It's somehow a white light became refracted. Think about when you take a crystal and you hold it up to a beam of light coming in through the window, and it splatters your room, the walls, the ceiling, the floor with all these little colors and rainbows. That's what's happening. You're receiving light in through the window from the sun, a kind of white light. That's not even the full light spectrum. Sorry, my cat's being a little curmudgeon. Why don't you lay down, buddy? It's a rainy day, so they don't really want to be outside, and they're just kind of bored and roaming around the RV looking for something to do, and insisting like every 5 minutes that they need TREATs. So, sorry. The color of this is not a muddy gray color on the other side, okay? If you're mixing light wavelengths, if you add them all up together, combine all of them, you get a white light. So what you would want to think of is the white light sans subtract the red wavelength from the white light. That would probably be more accurate. And if you think about almost every belief system, every sort of Genesis myth, typically, a lot of them claim that it started with a big light, like a sea of light. And that was the ethereal realm. And then the material realm was created, supposedly, based on the ethereal realm in some ways, as if it used it as a blueprint. Now, if you think about how the colors work, it suggests that whatever that place is, it's sort of a mirror reflection of this place, in a way. That will be important to keep in mind moving forward. Like, for example, when we go back to reconsidering what that says about the yin and the yang, what it implies about the yin and the yang, and the fact that down here in the physical world, women are considered to be black, night, dark, passive, receptive, negative energies, and men are considered to be white, light, day, positive, assertive energies. Well, again, the other side is supposed to be like a mirror reflection of this side. When you look at yourself in the mirror, it's sort of the exact flipped opposite of you. That's why I always say the mirrored veil. The veil is this border boundary between the two worlds, but it's sort of a mirror. It flips. So if women are dark down here, what are they on the other side? On the flip side, they're the light. It started with a mother of light. Light mother. That's what this all suggests. A mother of white light, a sea of light that's made up of all these little drops. The way a sea is made up of drops of water. So it's a big light, white light. Like a sea of light made up of all these little drops of light. Like little stars or little angels, little souls. And she's a mother. It's not a father. Yeah, that's what it suggests. And there's a lot more to suggest that I'll be getting into in future videos. But this was, again, just a sort of a crash course. Oh, so if you want to know what this... I kind of tried to I worked out... I mean, you could pull up color wheels and all that, and you can figure this out for yourself. And look around you and try to figure out what the stuff around you would look like on the opposite side. Like, what would you be seeing if you were seeing things through the lens of someone on the other side in the ethereal realm? First of all, everything would likely look a lot lighter because we're supposedly in a sort of a void vacuum uterus that opened up within the light. So the physical realm is supposedly sort of in the light. So the light is everything, encompasses all things. So it's the mother goddess, but also heaven, and hell is the physical realm within heaven. Big light, little womb, sort of void within the light, and we're like a little planet in there. Is what it suggests, sort of, and there's probably a element of another dimension sort of thing. I don't know. So this is probably this color, not this beige color, but this sort of teal, light sort of teal, green, blue, seafoam green color is probably what this actually looks like, what this little LED candle actually looks like on the other side. On this side, we perceive it as being red, but it's actually all the colors except red. It's rejecting red. It's absorbing all the other colors, and it's on the other side, it's probably something closer to this color. So that's a little crash course in how light works and color works and what they suggest about the realms, the physical and ethereal realm, if you believe in such things, which you should, because everything around you, if you pay attention, actually suggests that there's sort of at least two worlds. And if you're a physical human being in the physical world, typically you can't really perceive too much of the other world over there, which is sort of it's part of the point. It's part of the process. It's as if, so spoiler alert, it's as if this flesh suit you're in, almost as if this flesh suit is like a really complex virtual reality suit that's making it so you can't perceive that you're in the sea of white light. You perceive that you're in a void. There's some things to suggest that it might be that. Something along those lines. We're going to do a lot of different stuff. Another thing you should keep in mind, please, and I will be making more videos discussing this. I'll probably be going over this again in more detail with more pictures. I had some pictures and stuff I wanted to pull up and show you guys, which I completely forgot to have them ready because I had my phone charging, and they're on my phone. There's some Freemasonry images, typical Freemasonry images and symbols that make reference to the mirrored veil. Pictures of maidens, women, holding, with a veil, around, wrapped on, and holding a mirror. It's the mirrored veil. And then I'll show you some pictures. But yeah, again, I'm trying to get really the ball rolling on this and get into the groove of it, because you don't get stuff done until you actually start doing it. Another thing you really should keep in mind about light, one more last thing I'll leave you with, because we're going to explore it more in future videos, and not enough people understand this, and they should. Light doesn't move. And you should think on what that implies. Light doesn't move. It's still. So when people say, like, faster than the speed of light, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry I cursed. I don't know what the F you're talking about, because light doesn't effing move. Now, it might be more accurate to say it's the particles that make it so that you can see light, that hold light, so that you can perceive it. Those particles, they move. But light itself does not move. Light is still. We are within the light. However, we're in something like a meat suit that makes it so we can't perceive it except for like when it's shown to us with certain particles. Like, for example, that big giant ball of hydrogen atoms up in the sky that's under such pressure and compression that it's constantly exploding. It's like a giant ejaculating dick in the sky always. That's our sun, by the way. That's what it takes. That's a very highly pressurized version. So that's sort of how the Kabbalah starts, by the way. It's describing how supposedly the sun is sort of one of those drops of light in the big sea of light that decided it was going to do its own thing and compressed itself down and turned itself into like sort of a compressed ball of light that sort of mimics its mother that it comes from. Like, so that's our sun. It's describing the fallen sun, actually. That's who it seems to me that's who the Kabbalists are actually worshiping, not the mother of light that it all started with, the great mother. You know, the sea where all of our souls came from. They're worshiping the fallen sun, the little piece of light that decided to detach, separate, push himself like down, pressurize himself down, detach from mom. Remember how male fetuses form into looking like males? They have to build up enough androgen, testosterone, male hormone, in order to push back against their mother's estrogen so that they can develop into males and develop like an id, you know. And the mother's estrogen is treating it almost as if like it's a cancer. Like, no, 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 stay a girl, stay a girl, stay a girl. As above, so below. So we see these patterns repeat themselves in spiral almost, like in different levels of life. So we see it in the way fetuses develop into males. And this is this is essentially how we got this physical realm existence to begin with. It's a sort of fudged copy of the original awesomeness. So, as to why you'd want to come down here, still working on figuring that out. There's some things to suggest you get trapped down here, pulled down here, tricked down here, tricked into staying down here by malicious things. I think probably more like we'll see. I mean, again, you can interpret all these suggestions however you'd like. You can interpret them wildly, or you could take out Occam's razor and be reasonable and sensible, cut the fat off, and try to base it on what the most likely realistic answer. Highly narcissistic, sociopathic, and or psychopathic people who have lost their connection, I guess, with the mother light. By the way, your gut instincts. Remember, your gut is what tells you. I think I said this in another video. I'll probably be saying it a few times. It's worth repeating. Your gut is where you feel the no, 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 don't do that. That's wrong, isn't it? For those of you who have that. And that's called the Manipura, by the way, chakra, the Manipura chakra in the chakra system. Your gut, your solar plexus, your solar chakra is called the Manipura chakra. It means the city of shining jewels, city of jewels. That's also where you're connected to your mother, via the umbilical cord. It's sort of your conscience. It's your gut instinct, but it's also it's the no, you know not to do this. Or if you walk into a dangerous situation, maybe you're not quite, it doesn't appear on the surface to be dangerous, but it's like you can sense the wolves circling and you feel it. Maybe sometimes you also kind of feel it like prickles on the back of your neck, but you feel it here too. It's feeling in my gut. You've heard that. We all heard that. I feel it in my gut. That's your mama. And I think maybe the problem is we have somehow people getting cut off from this gut connection to their mother, telling them like, no, don't do that. Because she's the thing that we all come from. So and that's why the mother in the Jungian archetypes stands for unity, connection, empathy. So these are people that are cut off from that. Demons or whatever might just be, the change of vernacular over the generations, the centuries. What was a demon is today a psychopath. Do you understand? But I try not to rule anything. I try not to rule anything out completely. Maybe demons. I don't know. Maybe we're AI bots. Maybe we are really in the Matrix. I don't know. For sure. I can only tell you some things and tell you what certain things point to. But I know for sure that this is not red. And this is not teal. Switch them. This is probably closer to this color on the flip side. And this is probably closer to this color. And light does not move. Light is still. It's a still sea of light that encompasses all things. All things are within her. And so she doesn't have to move. She is all things. So she's still. So light doesn't move down here. It's just that the things like particles, like droplets of water, H2O, that carries light and refracts it, makes so we can see it. They move. Those things move, which makes us think that light moves. Light does not move. Light is still. Okay? They're moving like in the void, in the light. You getting it? Big light, sea of light, mama. Womb, void, that's ruled over by her sun, fallen sun, the sun. Get it? And then the only light that's in here is like, it's trapped in like particles that can hold light, carry light, which is what suggests that this out here is a sea and that this is like a void within her. Okay, it must be made of like some kind of a dense particle or something, like a sea that can carry that light, that can, it kind of suggests that. If people have another way of reasonable, well thought out, different interpretations, I'm absolutely welcome and open and encouraging you to put them in comments. I don't want to hear nasty nonsense. But if you think like there's something I'm missing or leaving out of my calculations, so on and so forth, I would like to be correct. You know, I don't need to be right. I want to know the truth rather than I want to be right. So I can accept being wrong to, like, modify my theories. So absolutely, please feel free to leave some messages, some comments. If you have reasonable, intelligent suggestions and things to say that might help me, you know, hone my theories, make them more accurate, more detailed. I have a lot of this written down. That's what I've been doing for most of the last 2 years. Typing. And I need to pull all that up in the blog stuff that I've been writing, and haven't published any of it yet because I wanted to get it all as nice and neat as I could before I finally pulled the trigger and started publicly accusing people of what I'm going to accuse them of. You know, I wanted to make sure I had all this kind of information ready and written out with graphs and pictures and stuff, and I have a bunch of those actually in the write-up. So I need to open them up and refresh my memory and just get the ball rolling more. I just feel like the last several months I've just been bounced all over the place, trying just to, like, figure out how I'm going to survive till tomorrow, you know, like. So how the FF was I supposed to freaking start dealing with any of this? And still, it's a handful. So I'm doing this as best I can, as quickly as I can, to get this out there so that other people can pick up the ball, you know, take the torch. Because these people are hurting children. This needs to be dealt with. So it is important that you understand these things. Because understanding these things will lead you to better understanding the concepts behind their belief system. And that is, as far as I've seen, one of the better ways to identify them. Through their work that they put out in the public, social media, and stuff like that. Because, again, they do announce who and what they are, but with symbols that would go right over your heads if you didn't understand these things. Okay, so I think I'll leave it there. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else I want to say. No. These are opposite colors, and light does not move. Light is still. And we are in hell and in heaven at the same time. Good night.